What type of financial experience did you have before becoming a principal?
When I was an undergraduate, I had teaching certification in more than one area, including business and finance. And so thank goodness I had that because that was the only training I had. And even with that, school finance, understanding the way the system worked, understanding just procedures and policy, probably took me 3 to 5 good solid years as an administrator before I finally felt like I have a handle on the finance.
The only formal training I had was a one class at UC in my admin program, and it was a school finance class. So that was basics of school finance. But serving as a department head in a school and also an activity sponsor, I kind of knew the rules as far as the paperwork that needed to be submitted and what procedures were.
What are the most common financial decisions you have to make as a public school principal?
The most important ones are tied to teaching staff. When you start involving decisions that critically affect people on your staff, either to lose somebody or to request somebody, the amount of work that you sometimes need to do to justify or to rationalize what you do, those are the most critical ones.
Definitely the most common would be teacher orders, class supplies, things like, pencils, crayons, markers, things like that, textbooks when we can order them, and just general classroom supplies. I think probably the most important decision is definitely hiring staff because that's $1 million investment. So that's by far the most important decision that we make.
What is the most pressing issue that is facing your school right now financially?
Board of Educations don't like to go to the community and ask for additional operating funds. And yet we know that we're moving forward. Technology is not inexpensive. And moving from textbook to technology and having the infrastructure to make that all work, that's pretty taxing. And we know that the next generation testing is, of course, all online. And so to do that efficiently and effectively, that's a real challenge for administrators to make that all fit within their building. Plus, many of our buildings are aging buildings. We don't have the electric infrastructure, or we got 4 electrical outlets in an entire classroom. Those are issues that are growing on us and taxing the building in itself considerably. You have to plan ahead. You have to know what's coming. And it's just not a matter of purchasing a computer. There's a lot that goes to it beyond just the computer purchase.
Lack of supplies. We don't have enough textbooks for kids. There are teachers who don't have what they need to teach, and that could be things like computers. It could be things like workbooks and textbooks that they don't have for their kids.
Do you feel your school is sufficiently funded? Why or why not?
See more opportunities and more programs, yes. Are we trying to be very creative to make some of those programs happen? We are. We have some classes that are being taught under what's called educational option. Our athletic trainer is not a certified teacher, but she is very, very good at what she does, and she teaches a 7th period class under educational options that kids can receive high school credit for. We've created a 1/7 supplemental to pay her. We have driver education that takes place before school, an outside entity, but yet through educational options we can allow those students to earn a quarter credit. There are a lot of creative things that we're being forced to do, and not everything is being taught by what was once considered a highly qualified or licensed teacher. But we also are looking at more online courses than ever before. And we have students that come to school, spend half a day online, the other half a day with work study, and that's their program. So it's really forcing us to be creative, to find other ways to fund opportunities for your students. And there are a lot of fun things that you can do with it. And sometimes necessity is the mother of invention, or whatever the case is, and we do whatever we have to do to get there. But would it be nice to have additional funding? Sure it would be. And could I use it effectively and efficiently? Absolutely. But we have to learn to live within our means. Board of Education is saying we're not going to ask the community, you make do with what we have. And so the challenge for finances will always be
No. I don't know that I could ever say that we're sufficiently funded. Every classroom does not have what it needs. I would love to see, and I think this is your next question, how much funding do I need? I would love to see about a $250,000 bump into our finances. Every classroom needs to have at least one computer, projector, and some sort of a smart board device, which runs on average about $1,000 per classroom. We also need probably 3 more computer labs, which would be ideal. That would be just enough to take care of the population. But in addition, not all of our classes have textbooks. So I would love to see a class set of books, of necessary materials for each individual room, whether that be readers, the text from the curriculum that they're using. We don't have what we need.
What can a principal do to affect his or her school's funding?
It's important that even the little things like turning off lights, making sure doors are closed, keeping your building usage costs down, all those things add up. Watching your purchase orders as they come through, double checking, making sure that you have the funding that you need to make those things happen. It's real easy on a busy day with all the things that come across the administrator's desk to realize that it's easy just to sign and pass it through, but that's an important piece. But the big ticket items such as the use of personnel, doing what you can to keep your sick day costs down. Every time we have a teacher that's out of the building, it costs the district another $165 for that day when you figure everything in. And when you have 6 or 8 teachers out on any particular day, even 10 teachers, and you do that on almost a daily basis, it has its cost. And so we do what we can to encourage teachers to attend. Our teachers are very good compared to some districts at the end. That's good. And then, of course, when you add personnel, it's one thing to add a project where there's a one-time, one-year cost, but when you add personnel, that's a long-term effect that grows in cost with each additional year. So you do what you can to keep your personnel numbers where they're at. And anytime I have a conversation with the superintendent about personnel, the first term is funding neutral. Whatever we do to bring somebody in, we've got to offset it someplace else so that we're always remaining funding neutral.
Finding grant money, because there's never enough that comes from the state or from the federal government. Finding grant money is definitely something that you can do, but also I think making fiscally responsible decisions in ordering.
What is the biggest piece of financial advice that you could give someone who is aspiring to be a principal?
I would say the more familiar you are with the school funding process, and just take time so that you read the monthly report that the treasurer shares at the Board of Education. That's a start. But then ask a few questions of your treasurer or the treasurer's office so to get a better handle. But the better you understand the practices and procedures for documentation and creating paper trails, sometimes those little things can be big downfalls for administrators or teachers.
Definitely making responsible decisions. It's really easy to jump on a trend or a bandwagon and say, oh, I think we need 30 of these devices for our students, but they may not necessarily be something that's going to last for the long haul. So definitely looking for things that are going to be cost effective and responsible for the building. Learn how to write grants, definitely. You have to be willing to sit down and do the documentation needed, but you also have to know where to look. And that's one area where I'm starting to learn. But there's no preparation for that. That should be a college course. Professor, that should be a college course. Grant Writing 101, so that principals can learn to find some fund sources when there aren't any available.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome.